Hello and welcome. On September 2nd, 2023, Pete Homer, Natty Homer, and Zoe Homer, and your friend and mine, Jam Mandala, sat down with Tom Lopez, the genius writer, producer, and director behind the Fourth Tower of Inverness, Over Morrocco, Jack Flanders Adventures, and other radio plays that have inspired us since the early days of the peace and love movement. Mr. Lopez was gracious enough to set us down in his beautiful mansion on the Hudson River and delighted us for 3 hours with great tales from his life. Thank you, Tom. It was a wonderful experience, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in and listening to this excellent retrospective by Mr. Tom Lopez. Enjoy.
Technical and stuff.
He's getting weird. I know that a lot of the sounds in Over Morrocco are from your travels there.
Yeah.
My impression is that all of the airplane sounds are from your flight. Is that correct, or is that all?
They are, except for the landing of the plane.
Okay.
That came from somewhere else. I did not record that, but the actual
the bars over there.
What I did then, I had the tape recorder with me, and I think the seat was empty. Back then they had empty seats with the
Oh, that sounds lovely.
and so the microphone was just laying on the seat, which I would do, pointing in whatever direction I wanted it to do, and because I was picking up the either the pilot or whoever it was
Sure.
was doing, and it was great.
Yeah, no.
Was
so I was wondering what
fabulous.
What was it? Not being particularly familiar with what was available at the time, was it like a larger reel-to-reel, or was it something smaller?
A Ewer. Now, a Ewer was a German-made. And it was very, very good recorder.
Yeah.
And it was about this big by this big, and it came, in
On a strap.
in a leather,
Yeah.
very nice leather case, and it wasn't that heavy, batteries obviously, and the microphone was easy to. It's sort of like, usually it's just sort of was here, on you, meaning on part of the strap. So you could sometimes walk around and record people without their knowing.
That's what I used to do with this. When we were in Vietnam, I would get recordings just wandering around on the street. But yeah, no, that sounds okay. So, but I assume it's a little reel-to-reel. Sort of
it's 5-inch
feel.
reels, so you could get it had 4 speeds actually, like 7.5, 3 3/4, 1 7/8, and then would have 15, 16th like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
okay, that's fun.
But obviously 3 3/4 was not bad, but obviously 7.5 was
Was best.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I love the sequences where the young people come up to you and they're trying to sell you things.
Oh yeah,
in the airport.
In Morocco, there everyone's whistling.
You get this feeling like you're being swarmed by all these.
What I thought was so fun was there was clearly you had a recording, and then Jack Flanders is responding to the recording.
Yeah.
I loved that moment, and it feels quite seamless. And I didn't. I guess I just didn't when I last listened to it. I didn't realize that so much of it was from recordings that were from the field. It felt so seamless that I didn't quite realize that.
I never thought of that. That's
Yeah.
right. I figured that you were actually in Morocco, all of you, with the actors.
Speaking of, is the music? So they go out to the mountains, to the Great Atlas Mountains, to the festival.
They were recordings that Paul Bowles gave to me that he had done.
Okay.
And
he was going out into the field a little bit deeper.
where he had can't remember what it was, but the earlier recorders didn't even have batteries. You cranked it up.
Oh,
So it
yeah?
ran-
No kidding.
yeah, so it ran whatever
Oh,
like
yeah.
the time before you stop and crank it up some more. Yeah.
That's
And-
fun.
Cool.
And so he had something significant, but and he did the recordings. I don't know if he originally did them, for the Library of Congress.
Oh.
And the Library of Congress had put out a couple of LPs of Paul Hold's recording, and these were not used by the Library of Congress. So he had a lot of music that was not used by them, and meaning he could then give it to me.
Just fantastic. I mean,
That's
That's great.
the way you wrote the characters, sort of explaining the music, and it's just brilliant.
Yeah, I think a lot of that came from, well, Bowles was quite an influence because he's a good writer and somebody, I was able to get some money to interview him, but that was in the, back in the 60s and, when I lived in London. So when I was able to get back there again, which was in the very early 70s,
Yeah.
I already was familiar with Tangier anyway. Meaning
really?
I knew there was a lot of good sounds, and
Yeah.
I had
Call to prayer. I mean, it's just beautiful.
and I knew some of the places to go on, from Bowles, and
Yeah.
also too that that first time was the interviews with Bowles in the 60s. We wandered all about Tangier because he spoke. He spoke Arabic, he spoke Maghrumba or whatever it's called, which is the Moroccan, language, and he spoke French, he spoke German.
Wow.
So
That's a useful guy to have.
Yeah.
That's a useful guy to have in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, at some point, we're wandering about, and I'm recording all the time. So I had put a recorder. You just
Yeah.
walk around with him.
Yeah.
In
Street
the
sounds and
streets.
everything.
Yeah.
How did you collect all those sayings? I wrote them all down in my notebook, and I listened to Moon Over Morocco. There's 108 sayings in Moon Over Morocco. Did you just research those proverbs? How did you find all those?
Meaning,
Proverbs
all the
that-
proverbs and the
Proverbs.
sayings.
that there was a few from Bowles and his I don't know if it was from Bowles but mainly in the local library. I
Sure.
came across a book.
Thank God for local libraries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to go do research there in Glens Falls Library.
Really?
I have a nice little book of proverbs. isn't it?
Crandall, I love Crandall.
Yeah.
I love some of my
That's a
fondest,
great
earliest
library.
memories are
Yeah.
at Crandall Library.
I was on the train once, and I sat down next to someone from Morocco. So I mentioned Moon Over Morocco and the sayings, and this gentleman said first of all, he was kind of surprised that I knew a little bit about Morocco from your work. And I told him about the sayings, and he said that sayings were really important in Morocco. They put them in their popular songs, and these traditional sayings were a big deal in that culture.
Yeah, and they're great sayings.
They're awesome. Are you
I
kidding?
wrote them down. I found that I thought were.
As you were traveling in Morocco, you collected some of these sayings,
They
or
were mainly from back here.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Wonderful.
And they are, they were supposedly Arab and Moroccan.
Yeah.
Is the Cafe of the One Bridge, or what, is that real, or is that a place that made
There
up?
The one the hippies like?
Yeah, the one the hippies like.
No, there was a place, I think it was called Cafe of the Bridge or something like that actually had a stream with a bridge, a little bridge.
Oh, wow.
Cafe, and it was a place that Bowles had told me about.
Yeah.
And so I sort of recreated it. I didn't actually
Yeah.
go there. And also too, when I went to Morocco, went to Marrakesh, Bowles had said, contact so-and-so. He was also another writer, and he can help you, meaning where's the best places to record.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That kind of thing,
Nice.
The marketplace,
Yeah.
the Medina,
Yeah.
So, So, you know, a fair amount of research
No.
people help people.
For the music and Moon Over Morocco, you used a synthesizer?
Oh, at the beginning? The
Yeah.
intro?
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
it was-
no, the intro, if I may, I believe the intro is a tape effect of the
Yeah.
Over Morocco.
Yeah,
Right,
it's a
right.
reverse tape effect.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah?
Yeah, reverse echo.
Ah,
You just
clever.
play it
You're
backwards,
talking
then
about,
you
you're
have
talking about the actual
to.
synthesizer. No.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask about some of the technical things because, as I said earlier, I'm a musician. I mainly play synthesizers, analog modular synthesizers, and use cassettes and reel-to-reel tape decks all the time. So I was curious just about like what kind of equipment were you using outside of a mixer and like was it a single tape machine? Did you get musicians to come in? Were you specifically interested in synthesizers, or was that just something that kind of happened in terms of the people, the collaborators you were working with who decided to bring them in? How did tape effects and the types of things you can do seem to go so hand in hand with the material. They kind of add some sort of like mystical depth to some extent. There's something about the tape echo as a kind of remarkable device for catapulting the mind. Did you? What is your experience with that? And were you the one doing any of that technical work, or did you have engineers who were sort of doing some of that sound design?
Well, the first Fourth Tower in Over Morocco was Bobby Bilecki, who built the studio,
Okay.
and he was the engineer. And then Bobby hooked up with Laurie Anderson. I don't know if you know.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Laurie was up here a few times.
Really?
Oh, that's so cool.
And when and she really liked Bobby. They hit it off as a couple, and he left with her to live in New York.
Left you high and dry,
And
eh?
I didn't have an engineer.
Is this
Yeah.
Is this
So I had to learn how to
pre-Lou,
engineer.
or
Huh?
this is pre-Lou?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking, I don't know, well, 1974,
Mhm.
74, 73, 74. Yeah, we had an artist in residency where people would come up here,
Oh.
various. Like,
Yeah, I tried-
Allen Ginsberg was up here for a week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good fellow.
I tried.